In Boston, it has been a big week in the trial of gangster Whitey Bulger. Whitey Bulger's lawyers began presenting their defense in a huge racketeering indictment that alleges Bulger committed 19 murders. The judge has told Bulger's attorneys they have until tomorrow to decide if he will take the stand in his own defense. But even if that does not happen, what we have learned already in court this week has been kind of incredible. Like that the FBI's files about Bulger were locked in a fireproof safe in the Bureau's Boston offices to keep them from corrupt agents who, it was feared, would leak their contents back to the mob. It was common practice in the Boston office of the FBI in those days for corrupt agents who listed Whitey Bulger as an informant to feed him tips that helped Bulger evade arrest and allowed him to identify who in his gang was working with the FBI against him. Just today, a former FBI agent testified that he warned his bosses at the FBI in 1982 that he was worried one of Bulger's associates was in danger of being killed because a high-ranking member of Whitey's gang found out the guy had been informing to the FBI. The former agent testified that despite his warnings to the FBI, nothing was done, and the informant was killed. The long, sordid history of Whitey Bulger and the FBI in Boston is Exhibit A, that the Bureau is not always squeaky clean, that no one is infallible, and that everyone should be questioned. After the Boston Marathon bombing this spring, FBI agents went to Central Florida to interview a friend of one of the suspected bombers. Now, maybe they wanted to talk to Ibrahim Todashev about the Boston bombing, or maybe they were questioning him about the unsolved triple murder that took place just outside Boston in 2011, a homicide which one of the suspected bombers was linked to only after the marathon. We don't really know what was discussed because the FBI hasn't told us. What we do know is this. After hours of questioning the young man, and this was apparently the fourth time he was being interviewed, after hours of questions to someone who had made himself available to the FBI again and again, FBI agents shot the young man in his own home. His family has released photos that were supposedly taken of his body at the morgue. They appear to show him shot 6 times in the torso and once in the back of the head. These are all of the reasons that law enforcement has given since that shooting to explain why they needed 7 bullets to subdue the young man they were questioning. First, they said Todashev charged at an FBI agent with a knife. Later that same day, they were backtracking about the knife. 1 week later, an FBI agent said he had seen Todashev coming at him with a metal pole, or maybe it was a broomstick. Oh, no, maybe it was a sword. Or Todashev was just wielding the furniture in the house. Yeah, that was definitely what happened. That's it. Todashev's family, the ACLU, and others who are asking for an independent investigation into what really happened are not alone in thinking that what we have heard so far is nowhere near enough. The state of Massachusetts says it has no plans to look into what provoked the FBI to shoot this young man 7 times because the interview took place in Florida, claiming it just doesn't have jurisdiction. Today, we learned the state of Florida will not be investigating either because it says the FBI is already investigating itself. That's right. The only official investigation into the convoluted story of why the FBI unloaded 7 bullets into someone it was interviewing. That investigation is being conducted by the FBI. As for how that investigation is likely to turn out, this is the FBI's record on navel-gazing. Over the past 20 years, the FBI has investigated more than 150 shootings. And in 0 of those cases have they ever found wrongdoing. A perfect record for the FBI, according to the FBI. There is a reason organizations are not normally allowed to investigate themselves. Independent examiners are usually best at shining bright lights in murky, dark corners. The killing of Ibrahim Todashev has raised a you can drive a truck through it inconsistency and all kinds of troubling questions. Every government agency needs to have oversight and to be held accountable, especially when the agency has the power and the firepower of the FBI.